Gemini versus ChatGPT if you're a student or if you're an academic. So these are the two front runners when it comes to generative AI tools that have been released over the last couple of years, and both of them have so many positives, so many pros, but it's also important to know what the differences are and which one might suit you more as a student. In today's video, I'm going to be comparing 5 key things that I consider to be important when thinking about whether Gemini suits you more or ChatGPT suits you more, and how to approach either one. I've used both of these tools extensively for both my personal life, but also business, but also academia, research, and learning aspects. So I definitely feel like I can really pull out the key things that you need to know in just 10 minutes. The first thing is research and information synthesis. Now, if you're a student, one of the most important things is being able to retrieve information, being able to trust that information, and knowing that the information is accurate and as recent as possible. If you're searching for a topic and you're trying to find out information and a tool is giving you the wrong information or information that was from many years ago, this could really be detrimental to your research and your work. So let's start off with Gemini. Let's start off with asking a quite general question. So I've said, what is the latest research on the impact of screen time on children? Give me the top 5 most recent papers and key results. So you can really see the difference between what ChatGPT has done and what Gemini has done. So ChatGPT has just given me a list of 5 research papers that it has pulled out that it thinks are the most relevant. I wouldn't say that this information is very concise or very in-depth. It's just a bit of a summary as to the kind of topic, the journal that it's in, and the finding. And the references that they've given are a little bit suspect. It's given sort of news articles to support that topic rather than giving the actual research paper. So that's one thing. Whereas Gemini has straight away gone into deep research. Now, this is a really important tool that I think you'd really like if you're a student. Deep research is where it goes into a bit more depth and really makes sure that it understands exactly what you want to get out of this topic and what you want to find. So it says it's going to search through systematic reviews, meta-analysis published since 2023, and then from here going to identify the 5 most recent papers and then select and create a detailed summary. This is one of the most important things. Gemini has direct access to Google and is able to search through Google Scholar, search through research papers, and find the most recent up-to-date information, and is less likely to hallucinate because of this. This access to real-time information from the internet is a little bit more different to ChatGPT if you're using, for example, the free plan, where it might be a little bit more outdated. The free plan has got a knowledge cutoff, which means that when you ask information and when you're on the free plan, you'll get information that is a little bit more dated and a bit more old school. If you have got the paid version, which I do have, so technically my results are from the paid version, then you are able to get browse features, which means that it browses on the internet, which could actually explain why ChatGPT is giving recent information, but probably on the free plan it won't. So here you can see what Gemini is doing. It's still searching through a website, and actually when you look at these websites, this is a really key thing. These are all journal websites. You've got PubMed, you've got science journals, APA, ResearchGate, and this is exactly where it should be looking, not at news articles that's like secondary or tertiary information. And another thing that I really like about Gemini that will help you as a student is that you have a lot of explanation as to what's going on. So you understand what the process is, not just the research paper listed out, but also the thinking behind how it got there. The second thing that these tools are really good for is to help with writing. So not just writing an essay for you that you copy and paste, but generating an outline, for example, or helping you improve your sentences or your sentence structure. Now, for this, I think that ChatGPT and Gemini are both really good, and they really support you with creating text or supporting you to improve your text, or think about really good outlines in a way that is ethical. So you're not just copying and pasting this information, but you're allowing yourself to be inspired by, understand how you write, and then be able to write for yourself. So I just want to show you, I'm going to ask ChatGPT and Gemini the question, give me an essay outline for the topic of screen time impact on children for a 3,000 word lit review. And what you'll find here is that ChatGPT is actually really good for generating outlines for different kinds of academic work, and it also gives you like word counts, requirements, exactly what to include, and you can even ask for examples as well. And this is Gemini's response, so you can see that it's a lot more kind of natural and not so structured, which is good in some ways, but also you might want it to be more structured. So that's where ChatGPT is more useful. But here it really goes into the depth of each part of what you need to use. So you've got the hook, the problem statement, the thesis statement, scope and structure. Whereas if you look at the ChatGPT one, it just kind of says background relevance, and it's not really as depth. It's not really giving me as much depth that I'd probably want as a student. You also have like different topics like the shifting landscape, defining screen time, cognitive development, social and emotional development. I like how they've broken it down into those different topics, sleep disruption and conclusion information, gaps in literature and things like that. So I think that Gemini's outline wins, but I think they both do a really good job. The third one is helping with coding or homework. Now, both of these tools are really good for this, but ChatGPT has just released this mode called study mode. It was literally just released today as I'm filming this video, which is like the end of July. If you go to ChatGPT and you go to study and learn, you can then ask any question to do with studying. And what it does is it thinks like a tutor. So it doesn't just give you the answer, which it would do in the normal ChatGPT response. Instead, here it will break it down for you and actually ask you questions and prompt you to give an answer and not just give you the final answer. So let me show you an example. So this is an example. I said, help me with my homework. This is the question that I have. I need to work out the size of X. And it said, cool, here are the steps. This is what it means. Can you spot the two angles? What are these two angles? And I said, they're corresponding angles. And it said, great job. Corresponding because, and it told me why. It gave me a reminder as to why. Then it asked me questions about the size of these angles. And then we kind of went through the working and I had to give a response. I couldn't just allow the tool to do the job for me, which I think is going to maybe take out tutors, and then keep on going. And it said it found the answer, and it even said to me, go back and plug in this answer of X to check that it works. And then I said, can you give me 5 more images just like this to practice? And it did exactly that, and it gave me different images that I can use to continue and do more working out and practice, which is so cool. Whereas with Gemini, it doesn't necessarily have a study mode for students alone. You can use normal Gemini and say, act like a tutor, don't give me the direct answer, ask me questions and work it through with me, and that can kind of be the prompt. The fourth thing to look out for is factual accuracy and hallucinations. So as I mentioned earlier, Gemini has access to the internet, so it's able to actually get real information and is less likely to hallucinate. One of the big cons of ChatGPT was that it did hallucinate quite a lot, so it'd give you information that was incorrect, misinformed, dates were wrong, references might have been incorrect, and that's a big problem, I think, if you're a student. And as a student, it's really important that your sources are factual and verified. So this was a really big con for a lot of students at this point. Whereas Gemini will always give you a list of the exact references, the exact papers, the exact PubMed website link. And I think this is a really big one and something to think about if you're doing research using these tools. The fifth and last thing is the ease of use. So how easily can you actually use these tools? Gemini and ChatGPT, they're both really easy to use. I don't think they're very complicated. ChatGPT has a bit of a cleaner interface, I would say, maybe, and a bit more user-friendly, I think. But then Gemini also goes into a lot of depth, and it has this canvas mode, like another kind of tab, where it kind of pulls out information on another screen, so you can kind of get that information while still asking questions on the left-hand side. And the great thing is that Gemini kind of is built into the user interface if you're already like using things like Gmail or Google Docs. So for example, when it creates a document for you, you can then say export to docs and it goes directly to your documents. Whereas if you're using ChatGPT, you have to copy and paste or take it somewhere else, and it's a bit more things to do. But Gemini's, you're probably already using the G Suite, so it's just a lot easier for integration. But yeah, Gemini does feel a little bit more cluttered, but I think that's because it does allow you to do so many really cool things. So to conclude, ChatGPT or Gemini, I really don't think there's a one size fits all, and I really think it depends on what you're doing and what you expect for the output. If you're someone who prioritizes up-to-date information to the minute, Gemini is better. If you want a bit more structured explanation and a bit more sort of dedicated user interface, then I would say that ChatGPT is better. But to be honest, I use both. So I think that using both is not harmful. Just make sure you always use it ethically and you're staying within your university guidelines. What do you think? Which one do you prefer, ChatGPT or Gemini? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.